And you're watching the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. Coming up this afternoon, we are heavily focused on Parliament as majority MPs are calling on their colleagues on the other side, the minority MPs, to support three key tax measures crucial for Ghana's International Monetary Fund bailout as Parliament prepares to rise today. And get you some updates on what's happening there. Also, John Dramani Mahama, the former president and now racing to be the next leader of the NDC, is calling out the judiciary for its role in allegedly denying the people of Assin North representation in Parliament as the case of James Jachi continues to drag in court. We'll get you the very latest then hear from the MP, who's also been making some calls. And these and more we have coming your way here on the Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Don't forget that the Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities digged in low affordable safe sanitation. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. We're back with the details shortly. Please stay. And this afternoon, we're starting off from Parliament because in the House, as they prepare to rise for the Easter break today, clarion call is coming through from some of the MPs on the majority side, asking their colleagues across the aisle to support three government revenue measures that are critical to Ghana's International Monetary Fund bailout. For Doma East MP Paul Chumberima, he believes that there is a need for the NDC MPs to back government's measures. He's also been touching on the need for some consensus in the House to support the economic recovery of the country. Let's get more from our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, who's joining us now via Zoom. Kweku, thank you for your time here on the Pulse. So the House preparing to rise. Are we clear now on when the Speaker will be taking the questions on these three essential tax measures?
Normally, when Parliament is about to rise, they sit very deep into the night. And such controversial measures are almost always taken when the House is just about to go on recess. So the questions have not been put. In fact, the Speaker himself, Aban Bagben, is not in the chair. His deputy speakers have been taking turn. There have been questions and answers for ministers, Interior Minister, Foreign Affairs Minister. They've all been here to answer questions. Currently, MPs are paying tribute to the Member of Parliament, Kokumewu, who passed on last Tuesday. It is expected that these taxes will be taken today. The majority side have indicated they are to go ahead and take these tax measures. Government side hope that the minority will join them to be able to get these tax bills through. So if anything that we've seen with the way Parliament works is anything to go by, later, deep into the night, these new tax measures will be taken. Maybe after 6 o'clock, getting to 8 o'clock, sometimes even at midnight. But all indication is that the tax measures will be taken before Parliament will go on its Easter break.
What's the minorities' account on this? Are they beginning to shift their position or possibly open to the idea of supporting some, if not all, of the tax measures?
So there is so hardline stance on both sides. The minority in particular insisting that they will not approve these tax measures. The government side have, over the past few days, been trying to negotiate, been trying to get some arrangement, some agreement to see if they can get the minority to support them to pass this. They've not backed down. So it appears the majority side may want to go ahead with its own numbers to get this done. And they can actually do so if they have all their MPs on the floor. We know that this week, unfortunately, they lost one of their colleagues, the Honorable MP for Kumewu, Philip Basoah. That shortens their numbers to 136. But with the independent MP focusing with them, they get 137. So they're able to bring all 137 MPs to Parliament today. They'll be able to get these measures through because the NDC only have 136 because of the absence of the Assin North MP who has been juncted by the Supreme Court. And that's the story you'll get to later. So the government side are able to get all 137, I beg your pardon, of 8 MPs in Parliament today. These new tax measures, the 3 outstanding, which government expects will rake in about 4.2 billion Ghana cedis, It's a prior action. It's a prerequisite to getting this IMF bailout to go through without the support of the minority.
From what we're experiencing in Parliament now, does it look like the majority side has the full complement of their side in any event to support the passage of the bill if the question is taken today?
Well, the only one person that we haven't seen yet is Tarkwa MP, Sarah Juasafo. She's not around yet. She was here yesterday. Our understanding was that she was going to come every now and then to support government business, but she has not come to Parliament yet as of now. Normally, on the floor now, there are a lot of empty seats, but we understand MPs are within the precincts of Parliament. You would notice when you look at the MP's car park, you see that there's a sea of vehicles, which is parked over there, meaning that the MPs are around. Some of them in the offices, some of them at the coffee shop, just are waiting for the bell to be rung, just are waiting for the indication to be given that these new tax measures are set to be taken on the floor. Then they will all walk into the chamber. And so now the chamber is a little bit empty, but we know that the MPs are around. The only key thing, the only person that we cannot confirm is around is MP for Tarkwa, Sarah Juasafo, who is not around as of now. But if all the indication we've been given within this week is anything to go by, it is expected that she will be here to support government get this through. And that is why some of the NPP MPs are already speaking and making the indication that they want these tax measures to go through. They want their colleagues on their minority side to support them.
And a lot has been happening on the floor as we speak. You were talking about Mr. Basoah, who unfortunately has passed away. A lot of messages have been pouring in for the kind of a person he was. Is that likely to slow the business for today, even as Parliament is rising?
Not at all. Such businesses are done to just call the time to get both sides to get a complement of their MPs before they get into the real business. These are also very important ones because MPs are very, very sudden as to the loss of their colleague. And just now, I'm just getting a message from one of my colleagues here that I just have MP for Tarkwa is actually in Parliament now. She's arrived, which will give the NPP the needed 137. That is, if they are able to get all the other 136 to come in, it will just give them the free passage to be able to go through. But normally, such statements, such commemorative statements, such statements about the death of colleagues and other persons, is just to while away the time to get the complement to try and see if the negotiations that are going on the side will be completed so that MPs can come on the floor for these critical businesses. And today, the 3 outstanding tax measures to be taken.
And the last time we heard from any government official on this was the information minister talking about how crucial these key revenue measures are to the IMF program. Any update on the floor as to how far or close or otherwise we are to securing this bailout?
So because government has said that some of these measures are prerequisites, there's no information that has come to MPs as to the timelines. The government expected initially that by the close of day today, they would have gotten an IMF deal. This is the last day in March. Government hoped that was going to get a deal by the end of March. But as of now, that deal hasn't gone through. We saw the board schedule for IMF. Ghana was not included on the list of countries that was to be considered. The finance minister only last week actually traveled to China and met the Paris Club as part of getting their support to some debt forgiveness arrangements. It is up to Ghana now, and according to Kojo Pamphuma, Parliament needs to do its bit to assure the IMF that government is keen on getting some of these taxes through, to be able to assure the IMF that government can raise the needed revenue to be able to pay back its loans. Government has a shortfall in terms of revenue, but they expect that these 3 tax measures, when they go through, expectation that it will be raising about 4.2 billion cedis to be able to close the gap in terms of the amount government is able to raise. Minority are these are the same messages that government put out when it wanted the IMF bill, the 1.5% e-levy to be approved. They insisted that if it was not approved, government was going to struggle, and the government was even going to go to the IMF. Eventually, the e-levy was approved, and government still went to the IMF. So the minority said they are not convinced about the argument the majority side and have been so far, for which reason they are going to reject these tax measures. But as things stands down, the government side are able to get all their MPs in Parliament today. They'll just get this.
And we'll be crossing over shortly to get what it is that Parliament's decision will be on. As far as the key revenue measures are concerned, we're keeping our eyes on the floor for you. Kukwa Santi will be joining us back to give us an update on this. You're watching The Pulse, and let's stay and focus on parliamentary affairs, because former President John Dramani Mahama is calling out the judiciary for what he describes allegedly, of course, as their role in denying the people of Assin North representation in Parliament. James Jachi Kwesen, who won the last elections as the MP for the area, has been asked by the court not to hold himself out pending a case that has been heard on his citizenship status. For John Dramani Mahama, who's in the central region, the court has not done well by denying the people of Assin North. He explains why.
Mr. Mahama has been campaigning in the central region, trying to woo delegates of the party to retain him on the ticket in the 2024 presidential elections. His campaign led him to the Assin North constituency, where he addressed the delegates there. The NDC presidential hopeful expressed his dissatisfaction at how the people of the Assin North have been denied representation in Parliament. He says the development is a serious blot on the country's judicial system.
In Ghana, our motto is freedom and justice. It means that of all the values that we hold dear, justice is one of them. Unfortunately, sometimes the justice system does not work for everybody. The justice system has not worked for the people of Assin North, and it hasn't worked for Honorable Joe Kwesen. It is a blight on our system of justice that for such a long time, the Assin North people have been deprived of their MP representing them appropriately in Parliament. It is a blight on our justice system that a writ that is supposed to remove an injunction on him carrying out his functions as an MP has been pending before the courts for 1 year now. As a result of that, he cannot work in Parliament, and in addition, it has reduced the size of the minority in Parliament by 1 vote. It's unfortunate, and it's my hope that whoever are responsible for what is happening take steps to ameliorate the situation as early as possible, so that the people of Assin North can have access to representation in Parliament.
The embattled MP for Assin North, Joe Jachi Kwesen, maintains what's happening to his constituents is as a result of some unseen powers manipulating the system to keep him out of Parliament.
Be honest with you, it's the constituent that is missing out a lot. I am a representative. The people have elected me to represent them. Now the people, if you say you will not allow the people's choice to perform its duties, that means you are depriving the people of Assin North from representation. And that is not right. In fact, it is not the job of the apex court, the Supreme Court, to put a restriction on a member of Parliament. This is a high court issue. But we live in a different atmosphere. We live in a different atmosphere where some decisions are influenced by some high powers. But I still have confidence that the courts are going to do the right thing. So long as the people of Assin North is behind me, I am not going to relent. I'll continue to work. I came purposely to serve my constituency and to serve my country. Is that a crime? And I did follow all the rules and regulations to make sure that I'm qualified, and that is why EC qualified me in the first place. So I don't see a situation where Electoral Commission, which is a separate entity has approved a candidate, he wins an election, and then they turn around and say, no, the election is not a void, or you have to go and rerun. But then again, it's let's put it in short, I'm hoping that the court will do the right thing. The only thing I feel is the not being able to serve the people that are so dear to me. Assin North not being able to do the right thing for them. The things that I promised them, I'm doing the best I can on my own as it stands right now, because all the resources supposed to come to me as a member of parliament has been withheld. But that's not stopping me from doing my individual personal work for them. And I'll continue to do that so long as I remain a member of parliament for Assin North.
John Mahama ended his tour of the region on Thursday.
There's a need for us to cross over to Parliament to get you some updates of what's happening on the floor as we speak, because speaking of representation, the people of Kumu lost their Member of Parliament, Philip Basoah. Some MPs are on the floor of the House currently eulogizing.
For that matter, on Members of Parliament in the plenary. Mr. Speaker, I sat by Honorable Basoah the day before he passed. In fact, I was sitting by him whilst he was having his usual kinky and stuff. We spoke. Little did I know that the following morning he'll be gone. What are we on earth for as human beings? I don't know. But again, it sends a clear signal to us. Mr. Speaker, perhaps this is the fine opportunity to respectfully, I know that is in existence already, but as members of parliament, are there in place some structures for us by way of counseling, by way of psychologists, by way of a specialist? We have come too far as parliamentarians not to have a hospital of our own, on our own. Maybe the time has come for Parliament as a whole, as an arm of the legislature, to have a hospital built purposely for members of Parliament. I know that may sound a bit discriminatory, but it will be appropriate to have that. Not just the parliamentarians, but the Speaker, we have clerks at table and all who facilitate the work of parliamentary practice. The Speaker, I listened to a post on WhatsApp, and clearly, listening to the post, it tells you that indeed the Honourable Gentleman had problems in his constituency. There was too much pressure and load on him. And I know that quite a number of my colleagues here are experiencing the same. Well, God giveth and He taketh. Mr. Speaker, I'm getting emotional, so I may have to leave. But Mr. Speaker, we wish his family and all in the constituency, in fact, we express our condolences to them, and I pray, Mr. Speaker, that this appeal that I've made will be considered, that Parliament should have a medical facility. Mr. Speaker, on weekends you drive around the car, you have no place even to sit as a recreational center as a member of Parliament. Because you sit somewhere and the next thing you're on the front page. Oh, MP is found here even eating wachi. Mr. Speaker, these two things also helps for one to go there and then ease off the stress. A recreational area for us and a medical facility. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Let me come to the ranking.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to
add my voice to the statement eulogizing the passing away of Honorable Philip Basoah, the MP for Kumawu, and the chairman for the Committee of Employment, Social Welfare, and State-Owned Enterprises. Honorable Basoah was a gentleman's gentleman. He was long-suffering. He was stubborn when it came to protecting the truth. He was unmovable and unshakable, no matter the cabal pitched against him. So strong was Honorable Basoah in his convictions that he became the leader of what others called Basoah and Co. But Basoah believed in consensus building. Indeed, on the committee, Basoah's best friend was Honorable Haruna Idrisu. He will be the first to say, Kwabna, leader says he will be coming. Kwabna, have you reserved some reading material for leader? Where reading material means documents that we work with. But more importantly, Honorable Basoah was willing to learn. We'll get to the committee meeting, and if the subject matter, if we have an SOE in the energy sector before us, he will open the meeting and say, Kwabna, handle them. He will sit down and take notes because he will concede that he was disadvantaged in that sector. He was a leader who gave people the opportunity and the space to operate. Basoah was a gentleman. Basoah represented what I see as the best ethos of politics. Gentle, persuasive, long-suffering, persevering, but committed to a cause. When I read the press release by the MPP that MPP flags should fly at half-mast across all MPP offices, I saw that as a vindication for a man who had been so badly persecuted by people who did not understand him. In death, he won the battle of honor. In death, he won the battle of integrity. In death, Basoah showed us that ultimately no political cabal will succeed if we are strong, if we are committed, and if we are loyal to our party. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
I'm taking 1-1 and okay, Okankwe Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I pray this glory quite in place. I'm on my feet. I'm speaking to the chair, please. I'm very serious. Mr. Speaker, paying this glowing tribute to my brother, my client, my friend, and above all, my brother-in-law. Basoah was my akunta. That's how I referred to him. And truly, he was my akunta. Raso Kumewu. And a lot of things in common. There was not a single time I would drive through Bompata, Agogo, and not stop at Kumewu and eat my ampesi with him. You always find him at the late BMS's residence, waiting for you, prepared his ampesi with some soup, and calling you on your way from Accra. Now we're drinking. Oh, I just got to Adonfe. I'll just join you in 30 minutes. Mr. Speaker, let me read a message to you from his PA when he fell ill. Hello, Honorable, good morning. Doctors say, I'm just quoting, doctor says there is now more oxygen flowing through the body. That is an improvement from the level from yesterday. So we are still hoping that there is a continuous upward trajectory. However, they insist no visitors for now. We kept on pursuing a good cause to save our brother's life. We kept on praying. I left the chamber. All of us left on Friday early morning. You and I were in Kumasi for Sir Dennis's wife's funeral. So I was always in touch with the PA and the brother. The Speaker, Kumewu has gone through a lot in our politics. Majority Leader, I'm sure, will contribute from Rio Adai Basoah's time to Yaba to Philip Basoah and the troubles in Kumewu politics. And in the midst of all this happening was our good brother Philip Basoah, who was the DCE under President Kufuor's time. The Speaker, question is whether my apunta enjoyed his life as a politician, as an MP. You all saw what happened to him during the selection of DC. We all saw that. He harbored a lot of pain. His wife was not feeling too well. He always had to leave the kids, school, come and spend time in Accra, and what have you. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the 2020 elections of Kumewu, whilst Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana, was gathering over 80.6% of the votes, my brother was raking around 51% of the votes in Kumewu. Independent candidate was able to win not less than 11,000 of the votes. Basoah only clinched 14,000. Mr. Speaker, our brother went through a lot in Kumewu. And I believe that we ought to be fair and be candid with what we speak about on this sad day. Mr. Speaker, my dear sister from Dravin could not end her contribution because she knows what I'm talking about. So there isn't much I would want to say but to wait for the day that will lay our brother to rest and to wish the family well till we meet again. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this tribute to our good friend, Honorable Philip Basoah. Mr. Speaker, this man was a great man in all respects. He was gentle, kind, and considerate in everything he did. And as a member of Parliament, I got to know he was so committed to his constituency and to his party. Mr. Speaker, I got to understand him more than I used to when we traveled together. After interacting for some time, he opened up to me. He told me what was inside him, what was deep inside him, the pain he was going through. Mr. Speaker, at the time I was speaking to him, it did not leave him at all. He felt very bad that he so committed himself to his party, and there were people inside the party that worked against him. It shows that he is a man of character, that despite all the challenges he faced in life, he still was committed, and indeed he told me he still loved his party and would want to make sure in everything he did, the party will stand first before everything. And it shows that he's exemplary in character, he's exemplary in commitment to a cause, and he can be trusted. He could be trusted with everything that the party wanted to do, and that he wanted to convey this to the people who wanted him down. The Speaker, in his death, he has conveyed it. It shows that people are not changed by externalities which may be working against them. The character of the person is not changed because other people have a different character. It simply means that you strengthen who you are. Mr. Speaker, but the death of this friend of ours shows that we need to do more than we do. And I would like to suggest to you, Mr. Speaker, for it to be made a compulsion that at the beginning of every session, or maybe every sitting, every member of Parliament will bring a medical report, comprehensive medical report about himself, so that we know you are fit and strong. These sudden deaths that occur to many of our friends and colleagues is disturbing and should not be allowed to continue if we can avoid it by taking precautions about ourselves. I know that when I came to Parliament the first time, at every sitting, our doctor will come, and it was compulsory for you to do all the checks about yourself. You don't need to present it to anybody, but there was an avenue for you to check everything, especially your internal glands and your prostate for the men. I think it's necessary, and we should go back to it and make sure it becomes part of our lives. Lots of people are dependent on us. The nation itself is dependent on us. So much is invested in the member of Parliament to the extent that his life is becoming, or is critical and synonymous to the progress of the nation, because members of Parliament represent the people of Ghana, and our voices represent the totality of the voice of the people. And so care must be taken not just by the status quo, but by ourselves, so that we can live long and do what we are required to do as members of Parliament. His death was a big shock. It reminds me of what Shakespeare said about death. There is a brief candle, and that it comes and it goes. The men and women who struts and frets on earth will suddenly leave the earth. The Speaker, we leave the earth, but something remains here. This is the character we bring into being whilst we're alive, what we leave behind as as human beings committed to the causes we belong, and eventually the niche we cut in the totality of society. Remembering our friend and in paying this eulogy to him, we will say that may he rest in peace and may he be received at the right side of God, so that he would have benefited from all the good he has done. In the end, it is to make sure that the total Ghanaian population live worthy lives. And he did what he did for the people of Ghana, for his constituency, for the Parliament of Ghana, for all of us. And so, Mr. Speaker, may he rest in peace. Thank you.
May I come to leadership? Very well. Okay. Yes, honorable member for Domekwa Benya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I will thank the maker of the statement for bringing this statement on the floor. We are all sad by the unfortunate incident of losing a brother, a friend. Honorable Basoah and I entered Parliament the same year, and we actually sat close to each other. He was an advisor. He would be there for you when you need him. He will share constituency issues with you and advise you on the way forward. I think Ghana has lost a great son, and my heart pours out the family of the late Honorable Basoah, the MPP fraternity, and myself and my family. I say so because he would always call my father his uncle. He would always make time for my church invitations and will stay throughout the program with you. This is somebody who cares, somebody you can call a friend, a brother, a husband. And I know that the good Lord will keep him in his bosom. And as the Holy Bible always states, we should always give thanks to the Lord in all situations. And so, Mr. Speaker, what I'll end with my statement is, Demri Fadue, may the soul of our brother rest in perfect peace. I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, honorable leader. Well. Honorable Eric.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also join colleagues in paying tribute to our brother and colleague who exited some few days ago. The Speaker, Honorable Basoah has been a friend, a brother to all of us. He's a very honest person who wants to be in peace with anybody he comes across. But Mr. Speaker, he has gone through a lot of painful experience, and he's been sharing these experiences with some of us.
It's true.
Mr. Speaker, you are aware that you and Honorable Basoah went through the same ordeal, and therefore you have a practical feel of exactly what he went through. Mr. Speaker, what we must understand as politicians is that life is too short. And so if by the grace of God, you are given the opportunity to lead, let's respect each other. Power will not be with us forever. One day, no matter what happens, regardless of the situation, regardless of the influence, we'll leave power behind. So let's treat our colleagues with some respect, and let's understand that we are all in this struggle for the common good of our people. In fact, it is painful that at the age of 50 plus, we are losing a colleague of his caliber. Mr. Speaker, we also have to look at the pressure that we go through as politicians and the pressure that we mount on our colleagues, even within the same party, needlessly. We have to look at all these things and make sure that, yes, politics is not a vehicle for people to assume power to do the things that they want for themselves, but a vehicle to assume power and then render services to our people. Yes, some few days ago, while I was coming from my office to this chamber, I met my colleague in the corridor. Mr. Speaker, we spoke for some 10-15 minutes, and he shared with me some of the painful experiences he's gone through. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine that as an elected representative of the people, even when the district chief executive of his own district was appointed, he was prevented from participating in the confirmation of the district chief executive? Mr. Speaker, something that ought to have been condemned by this House, but Parliament did not do anything about it. Those who have executive power did nothing about it. Mr. Speaker, this is unfair. And these are some of the things that we must come together as a House and condemn and ensure that discipline in our body politics. Mr. Speaker, I mention you because you also went through the same experience. At some point, you nearly resigned from politics, but God saved you. Amen. We pray that the soul of the departed will rest in perfect peace. The prayer is that may the good Lord protect our brother and give him peace. But Mr. Speaker, what is most critical is the family and the children he has left behind. Is there any arrangement in place by Parliament to take care of the wife and the children? There is nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, normally what happens is that even after the death, immediately after the death, we'll be thinking about by-election without looking at how we can take care of the case, the small ones is left behind. It is about time we put in place mechanisms to support some of these children. Because when you see some of our colleagues out there, sometimes you get worried. Just some 2 months ago, a colleague of us who was here for 3 terms was ill. Mr. Speaker, there was no money, and some of us had to contribute to enable him pay hospital bills. When we are in the House, every day we hear the public talking about MPs are making money, MPs are making money. But when the person leaves Parliament, within 10 days, you see that everything changes. That is the reality of parliamentary life. What they say of us is exactly the opposite of our situation. And so, Mr. Speaker, this is reminding us that regardless of our age and our power or influence, one day we'll also be called to eternity. And so let's put in place measures that will put smiles on the faces of the kids and the family that will leave behind. Otherwise, we sit here, talk, express all the ideas as if we are giving the world we can even govern, and eventually leave our families in the situation of everything. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, and it is my prayer that the good Lord who brought us here and who will call us at the appropriate time will take good care of our colleague, give him a special place in the heavens, and protect the family that he has left behind. And it's my prayer that we all, as politicians, will from today come to the realization that power is just for a short time. And whenever we are given the opportunity, we should treat our colleagues as equal human beings with the same respect, so that all of us will one day, when we appear before the Almighty God, will have something positive. On this note, I wish him very well. Thank you, sir.
Very well. Leader.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to eulogize our colleague who departed the earth in circumstances that indeed they shock all of us. Mr. Speaker, in these days of carnage and sundry bestialities, death really no longer agitates most people. However, the sudden transition of the Honorable Basoah did touch the hearts of men and women in this house. The Honorable Basoah most times kept to himself. He was a man who was bearing a very heavy load on his shoulders. He was a man of few words, or one could see in any encounter with him that he was a struggling man, within and without. The Speaker, he was indeed a man of soul, a survivor. All manner of conspiracies around him, and yet by kind cases of God, he managed to overcome. Here in this house, the Speaker, the then minority leader and I elected to make him the de facto chair of the Special Budget Committee. And he discharged his responsibilities in a very responsible manner. And anytime he had problems, he reclined to us to seek our own advice on the way forward for us. The Speaker, only yesterday, some members from within the group of the Special Budget Committee arrived in Ghana from a trip that we embarked on in Israel, which trip was mooted when he was a de facto chair of the Special Budget Committee. Unfortunately, after the 2020 elections, had to be shifted to the Committee on Employment, Social Welfare and State Enterprises to chair that committee, whilst he left the Special Budget Committee to be chaired by the Honorable Patricia Apieji. The Speaker, I think it's important that I clear this, because the Speaker in announcing the transition of our colleague. That is, he announced from the chair that the colleague had collapsed. I think it was taken on face value and made to appear as if the man had collapsed in Parliament. And so all news coverage was to the effect that the Honorable Basoah had collapsed in Parliament. Nothing could be further away from that. And indeed, the day when we heard, and some people were suggesting that if he was stable enough, perhaps we could ferry him to the presence of Parliament to be counted among those who will be voting. I insisted that, not knowing the exact condition, it would be risky to do that, because if we brought him and anything happened, it would be attributed to Parliament. The Speaker, we didn't do that. And it's good that we didn't, go on that path. If we had, and the man had transitioned the following day, I shudder to think what would have happened to this House. It would have been disastrous for the image of Parliament that we forced him to come, and then the health status declined, which led to his death. I'm saying nothing of that sort happened. The Speaker, isn't it ironical? Isn't it ironical that when we first came to this House in 1997, the first person who represented the constituency on the ticket of MPP, was one Honorable Basoah, who at a critical time when we had to vote, had to be ferried from 37 military hospital to this House to participate in the voting. Not too long thereafter, the Honorable Basoah transitioned. There was a by-election which the Honorable Yaba won and came to Parliament. Then another Basoah comes to replace Yaba, and that Basoah also transitions midstream the performance of his duties in this House. The Speaker, that is perhaps a paradox that may be difficult to unravel. Mr. Speaker, today the family came to formally inform us about the transition of the Honorable Basoah, which is what has occasioned the tribute that's been paid in his honor by the tribute which has been paid by the Honorable Dr. Nyako, the MP for Basoah. Mr. Speaker, it's important that this information came to be passed to us because the House we are adjourning today, and upon adjournment, we may not perhaps come back. Within 60 days of the transition, the amendment that was effected to the Constitution provides, within 60 days of the transition, there must be a by-election. So when the family came and were discussing it, we reminded them that our colleagues on the other side of the political divide, the NDC, will be having their primaries, parliamentary and presidential primaries, on May 13th. Now, the last Saturday, before the expiry of the 60 days then, will be May 20th. And if we want to have the House join ranks to give him a befitting burial and funeral, then perhaps the likely date would be the 20th of May. The family indicated that they're going to process it and get back to us. But I believe that maybe in the final analysis, likely the funeral may hold on the 20th of May, then thereafter the burial service to follow on the 21st of May. So that may be the tentative agreement, but I'm not the family head, Mr. Speaker. I'm just talking about what happened today in our encounter with the family. Mr. Speaker, the affairs of this world are very difficult to comprehend. Knowing what we saw about the man the day before his transition. And one cannot really bring any science to analyze it. One can only hope that this earth will lie gently on him, especially given what we are hearing about the condition of the spouse, based on circumstances. Speaker, maybe this is one case that we have to come together to see how to salvage the situation, even after his own transition. So, my hope and trust is that the spirit will be afforded eternal rest in peace. The Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Honourable members, since Tuesday.
And so there you have it, the happenings in Parliament. Of course, MPs, they're eulogizing the late Kumo MP Philip Basoah. And of course, today is the very last day for Parliament as it rises for the Easter break. We're still keeping our eyes there because there are 3 key revenue measures that are up for discussion. We're not sure, looking at the numbers on the floor of the House, as to whether or not that discussion will even come up or will be considered by the House. But given the fact that it's very crucial to Ghana's IMF bailout, we're expecting that these 3 key tax measures will be considered on the floor of the House today. But a number of MPs raising their concerns about the welfare of parliamentarians, and also the Speaker there and the Majority Leader raising concerns about the health conditions of MPs. The Majority Leader also taking the opportunity there to debunk claims that the MP reportedly collapsed in Parliament. These are some of the issues that we're picking up. We'll be returning to the House to pick up on the updates as far as the 3 key revenue measures are concerned. You're watching The Pulse. We're taking a short break here. When we get back, we'll get into the details. Please stay. And you're welcome back to The Pulse. We're still paying attention to Parliament because the House rises today for the Easter break. But before that, there will be a crucial need for Parliament to pass 3 key revenue measures. We've been hearing from the Domi East MP, who has been speaking about the need for the NDC MPs to equally support the move.
You remember when we were going to vote on the ministers? Interview when I told you we have the numbers. Definitely we're going to approve every minister. This is not the same posture. That's not the same posture we're going to this bill anyway. Obviously, we are at a crossroads. As a country, we need to come together to get these things done. It's not about MPP, it's not about NDC issues now. It's more about taking our country to a different step, making sure that the country survive. If we don't get these things out today, and we are not able to get something from the IMF, clearly what it means is that my younger brother, who is at Kobedia Supra RC teaching, will not be paid. My very good friend, Eric Eje's sister, who is at Sampa, who is teaching at LA, will not, or who's at a nursing school, will not get paid. And clearly, we are not going to go on that tangent. And I strongly believe that for this, it's not about party. It's about a country. It's about the flag that we are all defending. It's about something that we have to come together. Indeed, it's going to be a burden. Don't let us lie ourselves that it's going to be something that's going to be happy. Obviously, you are increasing the burden. But if we don't take that burden now, we will not be able to take it in the years to come. We will lose a lot, as the saying goes. So so we need to come together. I strongly believe that today we're going to have a very collective and how do we call it, consensus building in approving these bills. Clearly, the good thing is here is that the minority leader is a finance guy. He understands where the country stands now. He knows what we must do to ensure that this country comes back on its feet.
Well, the MP has also been urging the NDC side not to take the hard stance.
What they are expecting is to see a parliament doing their bidding. They want to see a parliament that is united, a parliament that would take the Ghanaian issue as their issue. It's not about their parochial interests. It's not about them. It's not about politics. It's about Ghana, so that the woman who says that Zabzugu Tatale's issue can really be represented here fairly. And that is what we expect today, that today, what should we do to save our country? What should we do to bring Ghana back to its feet? That is what Ghanaians are expecting from us today. And I'm confident, I'm very confident, that we are not going to go out of place in doing that. We must rally behind the flag. And I've said earlier on, it's not about politics now. Today, I don't have to be, this MPP, this NDC, and because NDC people lost some voting for ministers, so we have to, no, it shouldn't be that.
Are you sure the minority caucus have the numbers to pass?
For the minority, well, I am not, I think their leadership will be in a good position to tell us this. But for me, that's what I'm saying. I don't expect us to get to a point where we're going to go for even voting or something, or head count, or somebody's going to call for a division. Let's do a very good analysis of whatever it is. Do we need this as a country? Will this push our country forward? Would it position us where we want to position that? Would it bring this country back to its feet? Those are the questions I feel we are supposed to answer. And those are the questions I think will help us get it. But for us to always dwell on the numbers and creating problems where some of our friends are now being labeled as bribe takers, and I mean, it's not fair.
And let's stay in Parliament, because the minority side is claiming that there's a grand scheme by government to collapse the National Health Insurance Scheme. Ranking member on the Committee for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, has been addressing the press on this issue.
In the year 2021, the government collected in excess of 2 billion and paid about 127 million Ghana cedis, and that constituted about 6%. And we raised issues out of that, as though the issues we raised last year angered the government. President Akufo-Addo Bawumia government decided that in the year 2022, they will pay absolutely nothing. Not one Ghana cedi was even released for the 2022 formula. So we approved the 2022 formula, and this year we are dealing with the 2023. But what we approved in the 2022 formula, nothing, absolutely nothing, has been released. And let me take you through the figures. In the 2022 formula, it was estimated, and in fact, in the actual collection, government collected about 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Out of the 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, government took about 1.7 billion Ghana cedis away. So they were supposed to pay the National Health Insurance Fund about 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. And if you check the formula they presented yesterday, 0 Ghana cedis was paid. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been paid. Now, this is a dangerous trend to collapse the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Well, Kwabena Akando is also demanding a forensic audit into the expenditure and funding of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Indeed, huge sums of money from the National Health Insurance Fund. The little that is left to be paid to the scheme to run it is also running into arrears almost every year. And so sometimes you hear that there's an outbreak of measles, there's an outbreak of polio, tetanus, and what have you. It is because some of these allocations are not paid on time, so we don't get the money to buy these vaccines, and it results in this outbreak of vaccines, and sometimes we lose some of our babies and children, and which is quite avoidable. During the consideration of the formula, we realized that the allocations, the IT component of the allocation is too high. So last year, for example, it was about 205 million Ghana cedis. Of course, this year it's been brought down to about 83 million Ghana cedis, but we still think that there should be a forensic audit, an independent probe into the IT component of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Over now to politics. Supporters of the New Patriotic Party, including some members of parliament, have launched a campaign dubbed Bawumia Must Win. The belief of the group is that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the best candidate to represent the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 elections. There's more in this report.
Scores of young Ghanaians who are mainly members of the governing New Patriotic Party believe the Vice President holds the party's best chance of retaining power. MP for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama, is a member of the group.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the ideal person to lead Ghana to the promised land. He has footprints all over the world, and in Ghana, evidence-based. The electronic he's brought, the turning around things, the drone delivery systems he's brought, acknowledgement by the Vice President of the United States. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the vehicle we are going to use to break the 8. And it's not me saying, the youth. Because first of all, because what we are saying now, we are the MPs and our electoral area coordinators, we are going to come out to endorse Bawumia. We are believing that inshallah, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would get 70% of the votes, of the total votes come December in the primaries. And we believe Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is best placed to succeed President Akufo-Addo and work on the legacies of Akufo-Addo and also to break the 8 for us, which is very critical. John Mahama, we would unseat, we will retire John Mahama, I can tell you.
The group has tagged its campaign BMW, simply Bawumia Must Win. Dr. Bawumia is coming up against immediate past Trades Minister Alan Chermating, immediate past Agric Minister Dr. Uswe Akoto, Kennedy Ejapong, Francis Adainimo, and others for the party's flag bearership when the MPP goes for Congress. But the group believes Dr. Bawumia stands tall among the lot and should be given the nod to lead the party into the 2024 elections. Sheila Bartels is Member of Parliament for Ablekuma North constituency in the Greater Accra region.
Well, I believe that his vision, his passion, his knowledge, his ability to lead, and most of all, the ability to unite all of us. Because, you know, we are coming out of a world crisis, and we believe that whoever is leading us needs to be able to give us all a balance and needs to be able to rally everybody behind him. Whether, you know, the president is of a northern or southern persuasion, Christian, Muslim, and all of those things. You can see that this is a leader that doesn't matter your persuasion, you feel welcome, you know. So I believe that also with somebody who is able to take us from where we are now economically and help us within, you know, the trajectory that we want to go as a country, he is the one that holds the key, you know, to take us to where we want to go. So I know that nobody needs convincing. We all know that he is what we need.
The president of the campaign, Jessie Boakon, said the mission of the group was to make the vice president the flag bearer of the party with 85% of votes at the party's primaries.
Dr. Bawumia is the surest bet for the Ghanaian people. Looking at the digitalization drive currently, we are in the global economy. Ghana is a developing economy. look at most of the developed economies, UK, Germany, and those countries. The digitalization agenda is happening right here in Ghana. And who should we give credit to? It's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Look at our port currently, the paperless port. We have the NHIS app. There is so many things. The mobile money interoperability. So we can't give credit to any other person than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Our mission as a group, our mission is very simple. The mission is that we need to make sure Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becomes the flag bearer of the new patriotic party. And our vision is that Dr. Bawumia will become the president of the republic and will be sworn in on 7th January 2025. So this is our mission and vision as a group. Bawumia must win.
The launch, which was graced by leading members of the governing NPP, members of parliament, and some party supporters, was on the theme Making History with Dr. Bawumia as the next president of Ghana. Prince Kwame Kudoga's report, read to you.
And Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, is worried that the health service is losing skilled personnel to brain drain. The director is worried that the continuous desire of health professionals to seek greener pastures could derail the gains being made in the health sector. There's more in this report.
2022 report by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association indicates 3,000 nurses and midwives left the country in search of greener pastures in that year alone. But the number appears to have doubled in 2023, a situation which worries the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji. He told a 2022 annual review meeting in Kumasi the desire to travel abroad has forced some professional nurses in particular to shy away from accepting postings to rural areas. Though he will not give figures, he says the exodus, if not checked, could disrupt plans of GHS to ensure Ghana attains universal access health coverage. It comes at a time the service is working hard to deepen collaboration with partners and redesign the primary healthcare system to improve quality healthcare and a more patient-centered care. Dr. Kumabwaji says the Ghana Health Service is introducing a number of face-saving measures to address the challenge of losing its professional nurses who are in search of greener pastures. This, according to him, among others, includes increasing the number of steady leave for staff.
To enhance our march towards attainment of UAC by the year 2020, we deepened our collaboration with partners towards redesigning the primary healthcare system to improve quality and provide a more patient-centered care. We are also losing our skilled staff as they leave for greener pastures abroad, and that's also been part of the fallout from COVID, that all our staff, a lot of staff are leaving. We have responded by increasing the number of steady leaves so that we can build up the team, because they are taking the professional nurses away. So we've increased the steady leave for our enrolled nurses and community nurses so that we can also increase the number of professional nurses before we get stuck into get to know that there's nobody there. And everybody, we have done that we are addressing a problem. The problem is that we are losing our professional nurses, so we needed to make sure we push that group up. But as you know, we've also given amnesty for all those who run away to school illegally to bring their certificate for registration. Okay, so that when your time is due for promotion, it will be accounted for you.
Meanwhile, Dr. Kumabwaji is optimistic the introduction of the Model Health Center scheme could prove to be a fulcrum of healthcare delivery in Ghana. He wants all hands on deck as the service seeks to collaborate with the general public in the provision of healthcare delivery. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Maritime reporting.
Ghana's maritime borders remain intact. That's the latest that the Ghana Boundaries Commission found out after the 8-loss ruling In 2017, the Commission has been touring some of the border areas to find out more. Maxwell Aguba reports.
Some members of the inspection team from the Ghana Boundary Commission and the Ghana Navy using surveillance drones and a naval ship for the inspection around Ghana's western maritime boundary. It was days of hard work making sure there are no illegal activities taking place there. The International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, ITLOS, in Hamburg, Germany in 2017 ruled in favor of Ghana in the maritime dispute with Côte d'Ivoire. ITLOS, in a unanimous decision in September 2017, ruled that there has not been any violation on the part of Ghana on Côte d'Ivoire's maritime boundary. It also noted that Ghana has not violated Côte d'Ivoire's sovereign rights with its oil exploration in the disputed basin. Ghana's argument of adoption of the equidistance method of delineation of the maritime boundary was accepted. National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, says the second phase of the exercise was linking the land boundary terminus in line with the maritime boundary based on the 2017 ruling.
The Ghana Boundary Commission has a mandate to safeguard both land and maritime boundaries. As a result, we've decided for the very first time since the 2017 ITLOS ruling to undertake a maritime boundary inspection. The first phase involved the inspection of the maritime boundary at sea, and this involved personnel of the Ghana Boundary Commission, the Ghana Navy. Now, it took a period of 24 hours so far as that exercise was concerned deep inside the sea. They covered approximately 40 nautical miles from land along the sea. This is a very strategic mandate of the Commission, which we intend to undertake at different times of the year. We have been in touch with our counterparts, the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire. We have collaborated with them. The Navy has also been in contact with the Ivorian Navy so far as the conduct of this exercise is concerned. I want to say that the exercise has been successful. We have not had any issues so far as this inspection is concerned. As far as our mandate is concerned, we will continue to do this periodically.
Director of Survey and Delimitation at the Ghana Boundary Commission, Henry Jabba, has been providing details of the inspection.
We use the drone to set the path along the maritime boundary line, and we took off, extended the drone into the sea for about 5 kilometers to observe what is happening along it. Generally, there is no vessel crossing or any illegal activities that we observe. We have recorded the footage and everything, and the whole place is calm. So generally, that is the maritime drone aspect that we carried out this morning. There's no vessel, there's no illegal activities, there's no pirates, nothing is going on at sea. So the international boundary is secured.
A core part of the work of the Ghana Boundary Commission is sensitizing residents who live around border communities on their role in safeguarding Ghana's borders. The Commission engaged residents of Newtown in the Western region, which is very close to Ghana's western maritime boundary. Speaking at an open forum, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, told residents discussions are underway to reaffirm Ghana's land boundary with Côte d'Ivoire.
We've had a lot of information so far as the good neighborliness between the people living in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire is concerned. We also have reports of a good relationship between the security agencies who are living within Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Our responsibility is to make sure that all boundary markers are visible for security agencies. And we are currently in discussions with the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire for us to start exercise very soon that will reaffirm the international land boundary marks between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Come here with good news to you that continue to ensure that our boundary demarcations are protected, and in consultation with the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire, if there are issues we will willingly discuss with them so that we can amicably resolve any issue that comes up so far as our demarcation is concerned.
MC for Jomoro, Louisa Iris Ade, says the extensive work by the Ghana Boundary Commission will help preserve the good relationship between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire.
In a great day, it's been an engagement between the Jomoro Municipal Assembly and the Newtown community, which is on the border, and then the Ghana Boundary Commission led by Major General Emmanuel Kotia. The discussion has been that after the litigation in court concerning the oil find, and then judgment and the ruling came that Ghana won in September 2017. But since then, there hasn't been any major activity around. We have to look at how we can protect our boundaries.
The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation provided a drone for the inspection. Its project manager says the Commission's work is important in protecting Ghana's natural resources.
And there's looming danger in Tarkwa as some local miners are ignoring warnings to desist from using the goldfields mining equipment, which experts say could be dangerous to the health of the miners there. Erastus Asari Donko has been to the area and now reports.
Tarkwa, an old mining town, is dotted with age-old underground shafts. Two of them, the Fanti Mines, an old deep shaft mine on the hilly outskirts of the town, and the Akun Mines, have been taken over and converted into government-sanctioned community mining schemes. A third shaft, the Apinto Mines, sitting on Goldfields Company's land close to Asaman Kakraba, is considered illegal. It is operated by a chief at Tarkwa. In 2022, a Tarkwa High Court placed an injunction on their operations there, but the order was ignored. Currently, there are attempts to take over the old Maritime shaft at Brahababume, which sits in Goldfields Ghana's active mining zone. Despite the company's warning against the move, these individuals and their Chinese collaborators are preparing to turn it into a community mining scheme with government support.
So where I'm standing now is between the Pepe pit and the Tibribi pit, all belonging to the Goldfields Company Limited. Now, the Tibribi pit is the deepest of their pits and is about 100 to 150 meters close to their Maritime shaft. Now, this is the danger, the possibility that their main activities as an active mine will conflict with that of the community, proposed community mining. When they blast, you get flying stones everywhere, and it is possible that the impact itself could endanger the lives of anybody who is using the Maritime shaft as a community mining. And that threat is what many sources within the company are trying to prevent.
All these places bear the tagline community mining, but on the ground, the real ownership and the community share is not clear. A clear example is the Akun community mining inaugurated by the Lands Ministry. While the government says the scheme belongs to the community, Unit Committee Chairman Frank Boham and his executives deny this. The community has decided to go on demonstration because he claims the activity is Akun community mining. But none of our leaders have a stake in it. We don't have any representation on it.
It doesn't belong to Akon. Nobody can claim that it belongs to Akon. Go there and see. You have the leaders of the MPP being in charge of the community mining. Do you call that? It's political mining, it's not community mining.
They show me deep cracks in individual homes as a result of blasting from the Akun community mining scheme. When they blast, it shakes the building. That is what is cracking this building. You see the line of the crack from here to that end. I don't know how to fix this because even if I fix it, they are still mining and blasting.
Old man in Adinia,
We've been here since the old mining times, but things were not like this. But it is when they started the community mining, long blasting, that our buildings started experiencing these cracks. All of us in this area are affected. If you look at my building, my tiles are cracked, the walls are affected. It is serious. We pray the building doesn't collapse on us. Requests for responses from the MCE for Tarkwa did not receive any response. Meanwhile, there are signs of an intended inauguration of more of these community mining schemes in areas designated dangerous by Goldfields Ghana Limited. Sources at the Goldfields say any attempt to use the Maritime shaft for a similar community scheme will result in a tragedy. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Tarkwa, Western Region.
And that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates on our stories for you there.